Okay, so we'll get started.
Alright.
Hi, everyone. My name is Claire Henning, and I'm the president of Teachers of Tomorrow.
And I am Jamie Lang. I'm the Vice President of Teachers of Tomorrow.
Okay, today we're interviewing a Whitworth student, Fran Capponi, about autism. Fran, how about you introduce yourself and describe in your words what autism is?
Hi, everybody. Name's Fran Capponi. I'm a student here at Whitworth, soon to be a junior. And some of you may be familiar about what autism is, some of you maybe not. So I'll do my best to explain it as it is. Now, autism is a spectrum kind of disorder, meaning there's a broad spectrum of it. There's no really specific kind of it, because there could be a severe kind where unfortunately one cannot speak. He can only use noises and hums to communicate, whereas close to where I am, it's kind of mild, but they still need help. Either way, people still don't understand how it affects the brain scientifically, but they do understand how it affects the person communication-wise. They just need extra help with social communication and communication around other people. And this also is kind of seen in with fine and gross motor skills too. So some people with autism have learned to drive, but it may take a longer time because some people like me, we lack the fine gross motor skills, whereas some have those fine and gross motor skills, but they struggle with pragmatic and receptive language issues at the same time. There's all sorts of combinations of symptoms a person with autism can have, but I'm just naming a few. Either way, autism is pretty complex. I mean, I don't know most about it. I hope to find out someday. And all I can tell you is that autism is just an intellectual disorder or disability that kind of makes the brain wired differently for a person, and they just need extra help, nothing else.
Awesome. What is one thing you wish more people knew about autism?
It doesn't really, sorry. This has been on my mind for like the past years I've grown up with. I want people to know about autism that it does not make them dumb. It does not make them like incapable of learning. They just have different strengths and weaknesses that they are given. Like, I mean, some people can have like really great gross motor skills. Like they can write really well, but sometimes they just have trouble communicating. They just do it in a different way. It doesn't make them lesser than normal people. I can tell you for a fact, there's no such thing as normal.
Awesome. What things have teachers done in schools just to help you learn? Like, has there been anything that's been super effective for you?
What teachers have done is they really help. And I think I want to share you 3 main points that I think all teachers of tomorrow should know. Teachers that I have learned and I've worked with, they've supported me academically, socially, and have always been flexible and empathetic. Now, you may be wondering, why? I mean, you think teachers are just supposed to teach. They're not supposed to be all social with you or get down to your level. But it's true. Teachers are supposed to do more than just teach. And with people with autism, this is a different scenario. People with autism have learned in different ways. If you just taught them the same way you did, it may not work for the same person. Like, for example, with reading. They may do better with reading a book instead of writing it out, or vice versa. Or they may do better typing on a computer if their writing perhaps isn't the best. But that doesn't make them lesser. They just learn differently academically, and that's what all teachers should do. This is what they really should do. Because if a person with autism gets a positive experience academically, they will be much better off getting a college degree and supporting themselves independently, especially with a job when they are old enough to live on their own. That is a really big point that teachers should follow. And I've had this before too. And it was a positive experience because, I mean, to tell you the truth, a person with autism getting a college degree is not super rare, but it's not exactly common. Now, we can change this perhaps by having teachers be more academically open towards people with autism by giving them different strategies or different routines that are easy to follow, and just be open-minded that these people aren't dumb or lesser beings. They just think differently when it comes to education. Another major point that I like to add in is teachers should be really, really social. Now, don't think that I'm like, no, you're not going to be your best friend or everything. No, what I mean is people with autism have trouble with communication, especially with being social with their peers. And this plays a huge part when they have to go off into the workforce when they are old enough. If they don't establish connections or forge relationships with other people like their peers, they won't know how to work together with them, like in a team, to accomplish a team goal. That is where teachers can come in. They can help the person with autism or autistic students by making them feel more comfortable in a much more accepting environment, perhaps by helping them to get to know the other students. Don't force upon them, just let them be open, and perhaps just make it a much more positive environment where everyone is welcome, and just have maybe teach students too about what autism is and how we should be more accepting of it. Because I get it. It's a different kind of disability that not a lot of people understand, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't ostracize people with autism. It's not okay, because no relationships with peers means a very, very, very low chance of being successful with coworkers in the future. And teachers can do a really big part on their behalf with that. Another huge major point is being empathetic and flexible. Now, I know what you're thinking. What do you mean by doing that? Empathetic means to come down to the level of someone, see through their shoes, but it's going to take more than just that. So as I mentioned before, autism varies from person to person, which means their styles of learning vary, their routines vary, or even their strategies vary. So you need to be flexible when it comes to those with autism. You need to see through their eyes, think like what they would think, not literally, but figuratively. You need to see like, what would be the best routine for this autistic person? Would they do better with a computer? Would they do better with a notebook? Would they do better with only a small group of people? Would they do better with only a large group of people? Would they do better with taking a test in a classroom environment? Would they do better taking a test in a quiet environment, perhaps with music? You need to be flexible and know that there are varying types of situations when it comes to autism. And that is a huge thing one can follow. And I know sometimes it won't be easy because autism takes a while to completely understand. But if you just have enough patience, you'll understand.
So, have you had any teachers that have tried to be helpful, but their tactics have been really ineffective for you?
Could you repeat that again?
Yeah, so have you ever had any teachers or professors who have been aware of you having autism and have tried to adapt and be flexible, but their tactics have been ineffective for you and your learning?
Yes, there was one situation, and this is a huge thing. Part of being flexible is following a person with autism's accommodations, because their accommodations can vary. Mine was specifically like, I need a student's notes to look over, because one major thing that people with autism can struggle with is pragmatic and receptive language issues. Pragmatic means they say something, but the person they're talking to interprets it differently, even though they're thinking the same thing. Receptive means their brain interprets it differently when they hear something, which can make it really hard when conversing with other peers. And this is a huge part when it comes to lectures. Sometimes the professor can have a PowerPoint up, but if they just talk on and on and on and on and on, sometimes it can be hard for them because people with autism tend to struggle with like eye contact and body language, and that's just what they do. They can't control it. But it would be really helpful if professors kind of wrote up on the board and saw what they were doing. And another major thing is just giving students notes if the student volunteered to make things better. One professor didn't follow it that way. I won't say who, but it was really tough for me.
So looking at your K through 12 education versus university education, and obviously those are two very different ways to get educated, what has been like major differences and things that you might have struggled with that you weren't expecting to struggle with in college?
Academic-wise or social-wise?
Both.
Academic-wise, I had a really positive experience academic-wise because most of my teachers were amazing. In fact, I'll give a shout out to all my teachers. I love you guys.
Yay.
K through 12, college, you guys are awesome. But otherwise, I had a very positive experience. They were flexible. They helped me get through. It's because of them that I am now in college and I'm getting a college degree. College-wise, I'm still learning new lessons because as an adult, I am just learning how the social environment works, how these different routines work, because to tell you the truth, change is a really, really huge challenge for those with autism, because they can be stuck on a routine for so long that once it changes, they're like, what's going on? What do I do? They become all stuck. So that's just what happens, and teachers can help with that too. Just help people with autism adjust to change, whether it's academic-wise, social-wise, anything. But otherwise, my college experience has been really great so far. I've got a lot of amazing teachers. Never give up. And I feel like that is what people with autism should have. A positive academic experience, a positive social experience, and teachers who are just empathetic and flexible and open-minded to help these people succeed.
Awesome.
Okay, so since April's Autism Awareness Month, how can we, as students at Whitworth and as future teachers, how can we participate in that?
You can show your awareness not just by wearing blue, but you can also ask, perhaps, like, how this works. I mean, there's not much else I can say. I mean, Dr. Canigni has a great source if you wanted to ask her more about how autism works and how you can work with them better, because, I mean, she has a lot of experience. But just be careful about the questions you ask, because sometimes some questions can be insensitive when you don't mean it, and people with autism don't really understand those questions. So sometimes getting help from adults or professionals who have had experience working with these people before can really, really, really help. And don't be afraid to ask as many questions as you want, because that is what helps you become a better teacher, a better leader.
Awesome. Is there anything else you want to share with us that you think we should know? Or your viewpoints on it?
Well, it's a really amazing thing that we can spread awareness for autism. Some people have done it in ways that they think are right, following the medical model, but it's not that way. The social model is where teachers should always follow, just recognizing that autism is just what makes people different. It's not a disease.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Fran.
Thank you all so much for having me. It's amazing. And I want to give another shout out to all Whitworth teachers out there. And
Yes.
shout out to all teachers at Meade High School, everywhere in the Meade School District.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Fran. It was great to see you and get to know you a little bit better.
Thank you so much for having me here. I want to give a big shout out to all you teachers of tomorrow too.
Oh, thank you.